Hi, everyone, and welcome to this latest episode of the Human Factor Security Podcast. I'm so excited because today, as my guest, I have another one of the amazing women that are speaking at the Africa Cybersecurity Culture Conference, the amazing Yolanda Cornelius. Hi, Yolanda, how are you?
Hi, Jenny. How are you doing? I'm good, thanks.
I'm good. It's just so great to meet you. And first of all, I'm going to ask you a little bit about the talk that you're going to do at the conference and also a little bit about awareness programs. But before we start, do you want to just let everyone know what your current role is and what you do at the moment?
Okay, cool. I am I look after the cybersecurity awareness program for Discovery Limited. So Discovery is one of the big healthcare groups in South Africa. Healthcare/insurance, yes. So I look after the cyber awareness training program, and that covers about 15,000 people, roughly.
That's a lot of people.
It is a lot of people.
And you say, don't you? You say that cybersecurity awareness, it's not just your function, it's your passion. Why are you so passionate about it? Tell me.
It's actually quite weird because I didn't try and start out going into IT. And obviously when I started my career eons ago, this wasn't there. And funny enough, I went to school. When I finished school, I went to do public relations, and that is actually where my passion was. I accidentally ended up into IT, and now that I'm doing cyber awareness, I'm getting to use my PR skills again. So I'm more a people person than I am a tech person.
You say that, don't you? You say that you're so good at it, or that you think you're good at it because you speak the technical side and the human side. And I guess coming from a PR background, you'd know all about how to catch someone's attention and those types of things.
So it was really cool because I just studied PR, but I never used it. My first job was in a call center, and then I sort of accidentally stumbled into IT. So it is nice being able to translate what IT guys want versus the human, as in the human language. Yes, it's nice being able to do that translation.
And so, I mean, let's talk a little bit about your talk, because when I saw the title of this, I really wanted to interview you because it's such a great title. So your talk is called Carrot or the Stick, Behavior Change Through Incentives. So give me the headlines, because we're all going to watch your wonderful talk on the 11th of November, but give me the headlines about where are you going with this? So have we got to punish people as well as that? How does it work? You tell me.
So it's actually quite interesting because when I thought about carrot or stick, I've actually decided to go with neither. So I'm not going either carrot or stick, and I'm going to leave that little tidbit right there, because people don't learn with either. And what we want to do is we actually want to do a culture change, and you can't change a carrot or a stick. So if you give people a carrot, all they're going to do is want more carrots. And if you give a stick, then you've just scared them. So I'm not going with either. We need to do a culture change, and this is what I'm so excited about doing. Yes.
And do you think that's one of the biggest challenges? 15,000 people is a huge amount of people to try and sort of introduce culture change. But I mean, I've seen organizations much smaller than that struggle to get security as part of the conversation amongst sort of the normal staff. Where's the biggest challenges, do you think, when you try and look at that type of thing?
The biggest challenge is the youngest employee is just out of school. Our eldest employee is almost 80. So
right.
The biggest challenge. The number of 15,000 is really not that. It's actually not that, because you get people in smaller groups and you get to engage with them. But it's having to be able to just speak different languages, because we know millennials learn the same way as Gen X. So you've got to be upping your game and jumping in between the two age groups all the time. So that is more of a challenge than the actual number of 15,000.
Yeah, I always thought that. I always say it's constant messages. Like, it has to be all the time, small amounts of information.
Yes.
And I look, it's funny because when you say that, that's so true. I always looked at what works before with that group of people. What did they go with before? Let's go with that. So like you say, if you've got senior people, elders, maybe they read it. Right.
Yes.
And so we look at what way is that the key as well, is like looking at the history to push forward, maybe.
So there's some people, like you said, there's some people that love reading, right? There's some people that will enjoy a really good email. And then if you're speaking to your millennial group, they don't want to read emails. You actually need to sort of target them without them knowing they're being targeted. So you've got to sort of sublimely just message out there
I
without
love
even showing
that.
them
That's
that
such a
it's real.
social engineering tactic. They don't even know we're telling them. That's so
It
great.
absolutely is. You've got to be educating people without them knowing that they're being educated. So you've got to be changing your game all the time. And there's no thing that where it works all the time. The same
No.
thing doesn't work all the time. You've got to try all the time. Yes.
So do you think that, I mean, obviously you're working within Discovery, but do you think that's the challenge across the continent then, is to bring security awareness up at the same time that technology is being more widely adopted? I mean, I see that as a huge opportunity to when people first start using connected devices to sort of introduce security at the same time. Do you see that as like your job's almost what's needed across the continent at this exciting time for Africa?
So when we look at Africa, and this is what's nice about our jobs is that there's no 2 days that are the same. And this is what's nice about working on Africa as a continent. There's no two people that are the same. Yes, you can actually group people according to race and according to age group and according to preference and stuff like that. But no two people are the same, and no two people's learning experiences is going to be the same. What might work for you might be a total flop on the next person. So that is what makes this such a nice environment to work in, is that it changes and that you've got to be dynamic and you've got to be thinking about different tactics all the time. And I love the fact that I've got my two teenage kids. So my kids are very focal point in how I teach. So, and they help me up my game all the time. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure they're very grateful to have a mom like you helping them. I mean, at least the one thing they'll be aware. So this is just a quick interview in anticipation of your talk on Wednesday. We'd love to have you back on the show and talk more about your journey and your experiences, Yolanda. But just to finish off, what do you think the biggest challenge is now going forward with security awareness in your job, and maybe more broadly? What do you think we really need to focus on?
So our big challenge, especially looking at the African landscape, is getting people to know that they need you. And that's the biggest challenge, because once they know that they need you, then they'll come and they'll want to be educated. Right now, everybody's so happy on their devices. They're all clicking away, opening everything, opening social media accounts like crazy. There's free for all. It's like Christmas. But that level of awareness, we need to get people to that stage where they need to know that they need us. And they need to know. Yeah, and this is what's lovely about being on the African continent right now.
It's certainly a very exciting conference. I'm so grateful to be part of it. It gets me to meet people like you. We are going to put links to the conference up on the show notes, and hopefully everyone's going to tune in and watch Yolanda's talk, which is all about carrot or stick, behaviour change through incentives. Yolanda, it's been such a pleasure to talk to you. Let's talk again soon, and I'll see you on the 11th for your talk. Thank you very much for being on the show. Thanks
for having me, Jenny.